Okay, good evening, everyone. The time is now 5:03 p.m. on July 15, 2025. I'd like to call this special meeting of council to order. May I please have a motion to appoint a chair for this meeting? Councillor Weese?
No, Councillor Gilliland. Sorry, Wendy, I didn't hear. Councillor Gilliland.
Councillor Gilliland, may I have a seconder? Councillor Gardner, okay. Any questions or comments? Nope, all in favor? Any opposed? No, he's great. That's fine. That carries. So over to you, Councillor Gilliland, to chair.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd like to, perfect. Okay, so we're going right to the land acknowledgement. The town of Aurora acknowledges that the Anishinaabe lands on which we live and work are the traditional and treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island, as well as many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As the closest First Nation community to Aurora, we recognize the special relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and the waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands, and as a municipality, we join them in these responsibilities. We further acknowledge that Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississauga and Chippewas, recognized through Treaty 13, as well as the William Treaties of 1923. A shared understanding of how the rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us walk through together into a better future. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Weese, Councillor Gardner, any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call those in favor on eScribe. I have no internet connection for some reason. Just a moment, please. I just need some technical help. Apologies for that delay. I just had some tech difficulties. Councillor Gallo, you need to vote?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm a yes. Councillor Gardner's a yes. Thank you very much. Perfect. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Okay, we have two delegations this evening. Kathy Duncan from the Climate Action Newmarket-Aurora regarding Provincial Bills 5 and 17. Kathy, welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Councillor Gillard, welcome everybody and thank you for having me. I'd like to say first, I'm somewhat disappointed that the Mayor, Councillor Thompson and Councillor Kim are not able to be in attendance this evening. Thank you to Councillor Gallo for joining online for sure. As well, thank you to the staff and members of the public that have attended. My name is Kathy Duncan, and I am here as a concerned resident of the town of Aurora, but also a member of Climate Action Newmarket-Aurora. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Councillor Weese for taking the time to listen thoughtfully to my delegation of June 10th, for subsequently conducting his own research, and for bringing it up to the Environmental Advisory Committee, and for petitioning this special meeting of council. I would like to ask that we stop referring to these pieces of legislation as bills. That would suggest that there is still a process to be gone through, and the reality is that these bills received royal assent and were passed into laws in early June 2025, so they are now law. Bill 5 has been enacted as Chapter 4 of the Statutes of Ontario 2025 and is referred to as the Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act 2025, while Bill 17 had been enacted as Chapter 9 of the Statutes of Ontario 2025 and is referred to as the Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act 2025. I would like to remind the folks that are here that on their website, the town of Aurora bills itself as an environmentally savvy town, which is dedicated to the management and protection of our local environment. Key concerns that Climate Action Newmarket-Aurora has around the Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act, Bill 5, are predominantly, as we are a climate group, the reduced environmental protections and oversight. As noted in the written submission by my colleague Melanie Duckett-Wilson, also of CANA, and which was sent to all councillors by the town clerks, Aurora is home to a number of flora and fauna which are considered to be species at risk. Included within this, but not the only ones, are the butternut tree, which has been designated as an endangered species, the eastern whippoorwill, which is a bird and has been designated a threatened species, the monarch butterfly, which has been designated a species of special concern, and the northern map turtle, which has also been designated as a threatened species. As well, the Jefferson salamander is noted as a threatened species. The amendments that have been passed into the acts have the ability to limit this town and every municipality in the province of Ontario's authority to require developers to conduct comprehensive environmental impact studies. And they also limit the reports that can be requested for other design and development components of a project. Moreover, if a special economic zone is approved by the Minister of Cabinet, it can override all other legislation, approved official plans, green standards, community energy plans, and land protections. I'd like to take a moment to speak to Mr. Mayor Marcus's public statement with respect to these bills and the opposition thereof. Within that statement, he referenced the fact that the legislation has elements in them which raise legitimate concerns. And several councillors at the previous deputation also noted concern at the depth of control the province would have as a result of these pieces of legislation. Democratic process is a key concern of Climate Action Newmarket-Aurora in relation to both of these acts. They impose limits on municipal authorities over development approvals, and both of them provide for accelerated approval processes and reduced municipal powers in key areas. We see long-term concerns related as well to environmental stewardship and water. There is currently an environmental registry number 025730 open for submission until August the 1st. It's not formally a part of either of these pieces of legislation. However, it is referred to as proposed changes for water taking activity. And note its notice of changes to regulations under the existing Ontario Water Resources Act. I'd like to know if Council has an idea of who might enforce these pieces of legislation, given the downsizing of provincial enforcement capacities across the board for decades. Further, with respect to Mayor Marcus's other statements on the then bills, he's correct when he indicates that these are substantial and complex pieces of legislation and that some parts could offer benefits if, as he says, they are implemented thoughtfully and collaboratively. I'd like to ask you this. Does completely ignoring the perspective of the Indigenous peoples of Ontario in enacting these laws strike you as collaborative? Just today, 9 Ontario First Nations launched constitutional challenges against Ontario's Bill 5, along with the federal government's Bill C5. They argue that both violate the constitutional obligation of the Crown to advance and not set back or foreclose reconciliation arising from the Crown's obligation to act honorably towards First Nations.
Kathy, if I could just get you to wrap up, or did you need a few more minutes for a
If
motion
you
to
wouldn't
extend?
mind, I do have a couple more pages. It will only take a couple minutes.
2 minutes. Does anybody want to put a motion to extend? Councillor Weese, second by Councillor Gallo. All those in favor? Okay, go ahead. You have an extra 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Also, these potential legislations curtail who and how third parties can appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. What about disclaimers that have been written into the law to prevent anyone from questioning a project before, during, or after? As well, I'd like to bring your attention to the speed with which these bills were passed in the legislature. Bill 5, approximately 2 months. Bill 17, less than a month. And during religiously significant faith days, as well as a federal election. Does that feel collaborative or thoughtful to you? What about when repeated requests by committee MPPs to add an additional day in Thunder Bay for those who would be most impacted by the special economic zones for the Ring of Fire were expressly voted down? Mayor Mrakis, in his public statement, notes that the Association of Municipalities of Ontario includes 444 municipalities, and he indicates that the AMO recommends a wait and see approach. What's not mentioned is that a number of those member municipalities of AMO have issued formal letters and/or motions of council to the province in opposition to these bills, despite the recommendation of AMO. In some cases, even subsequent to the passing of those bills into law, the municipalities have called for one or both of those pieces of legislation to be rescinded. The fact remains that the concerning wording is included in these new laws. No matter what regulations are brought in, the words and the ensuing powers within these acts won't change with regulation. Climate Action Newmarket-Aurora again encourages the town of Aurora to officially oppose these pieces of legislation by the province, asking them to rescind what it deems as the concerning components or repeal the acts in their entirety in order to ensure appropriate democratic process remains intact. The eminent Dr. David Suzuki says, "We have chosen politics and economy over the environment." I ask you to remember, there is no planet B. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathy. May I have a mover and seconder to accept the delegation? Councillor Weese, second by Councillor Gallo. Any comments or questions for the delegate? Councillor Weese.
Thank you, and thanks to the delegation, Ms. Duncan. Can you give us a little bit of background on Climate Action Newmarket Aurora? Give us an idea of the expertise, the awareness, and what your advocacy work is all about. You don't need to take too long. I just want, for the record, people to know that what you do and how you do it.
Kathy?
You, Madam Chair. Climate Action Newmarket Aurora was originally formed as Drawdown Newmarket Aurora with respect to the book Drawdown, and that happened in 2019. We are a grassroots organization made up of citizens who have concerns in both Newmarket and Aurora about the environment and the challenges that we're seeing. Personally, myself, I've worked in animal welfare my entire life, and that's 30 plus years. Working for municipal governments for 20 of those years. And so am really passionate and engaged in biodiversity. I have colleagues that are here with me tonight who have expertise in education, as well their passion and expertise related to research, et cetera, with respect to environmental concerns. We act locally. However, we act when we think we need to act at other levels.
Councillor?
Thank you. And I wanted to, you made mention about the document that you sent forward. That document I asked to be put into the public record, so you'll see it on the agenda, and other people who wish to hear or read about what you've done can also do that as well. And I want to thank you for bringing that forward.
Ms. Duncan? Great. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments for the delegate? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Ms. Duncan. Okay. I'm terribly sorry. All those in favor to receive the delegation? Using eScribe. Sorry. Councillor Gallo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Gartner says yes. We're good. Perfect. All right, 5.2, David Hurd, resident, regarding Provincial Bill 5. Welcome, David. You have 5 minutes.
Members of council, I hope it's the 5 p.m. time frame that didn't allow 3 members of council, including the mayor, not to be present in such an important issue as this. Just like to read something to you, have it read on my phone, it just won't take long. Concerned that Indigenous peoples have suffered from historic injustices, recognizing the urgent need to respect and promote the inherent rights of Indigenous peoples, which derive from their political, economic, and social structures, and from their cultures, spiritual traditions, histories, and philosophies, especially their rights to their lands, territories, and resources. I think these bills speak to a lot of that, and that isn't from Ontario, isn't from a municipality, isn't from Canada. That is from the United Nations. In 2006, reconciliation, as we know, gained momentum, and it led to a 143-4 vote in the United Nations Declaration for the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Canada was one of the 4 that voted against it originally and then flipped. And as its basics, it establishes a universal framework of minimum standards for the survival and dignity and well-being of Indigenous peoples. I question, after reading many parts of this legislation, whether that is in fact now. So what is important to me now as we look at this, we look at the who and how we got here. And what the is our past. May seem confusing, but the who is our First Nations, the here is our environment, and our heritage is all wrapped up and intertwined in these bills. I listened to the councillor in the chair read the land acknowledgement. Didn't hit home like it used to. I've done land acknowledgements myself recently, very proudly at many town events as a vendor for the town. I don't say I can say one after this bill anymore the way I did before. And I'd actually ask the town to reconsider rewriting that land acknowledgement after rereading this bill again and see if it fits. Also, as a longtime Aurora resident of 6 decades, I've watched our heritage fall apart. Say it straight out. I've sat on the Heritage Committee twice. You know, I fought for over a decade to preserve the Aurora Pet Cemetery, long battle. This is a tougher battle. We have had so much put against us sitting on the Heritage Committee, being asked to reassess 287 homes and watching, appeals, MZOs and everything. It's just, I'm watching our history disappear. And as a person who has deep roots to the early 1800s, I'm highly offended. I'm more offended for our First Nations with this bill. History is storytelling. Who were the best at it? How was it passed down? It's through our First Nations people, and we have deep roots here. Stories in history are preserved as reminders. Now we can wipe out environment history and archaeological. Seriously? Just look what happened in Stouffville. Are you familiar with the Mantle site? What happened in Stouffville? If not, I'll share it with you. Uncovering, I believe it was in 2003, a Huron settlement with an estimated population of 1,700, settled long before European contact with 50 long homes. Could that happen? Not just in Northern Territories, could it happen here? I don't know. I don't think we've had a lot of documentation of First Nation finds here. But also I want to add these economic zones. Very gray. What I've read, extremely gray. So is the economic zone going to be suddenly deemed as Aurora's downtown core? Can anybody answer that to me right now? I would say no. What about the Greenbelt? What about the Oak Ridge Moraine? What if it's deemed economic? This legislation was done so fast-tracked. Thank you for saying and being so transparent, because they weren't. You know, and let's talk about the elephant in the room too, is the environment. I'm going to say it straight out. Many years ago, I was fighting an environmental battle and was doing a lot of research traveling on Ontario, and was made aware that there was over 100 sites in Ontario, many of them of concern, that were no longer on record due to loss of some environment records within the province. It was confirmed to me later by the Minister of the Environment that that number wasn't 100. That number was 1,000. So my belief now is, more importantly, this is the time for environmental assessments, knowing that. This is the time for heritage preservation, especially in Aurora when we need it for our tourism. We don't have water.
Mr. Hurd, your 5 minutes is up. Did you need time to extend or?
Just briefly.
Well, is it like the next 30 seconds, a minute?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, if I could just get a motion to extend. Councillor Gartner, Councillor Weese, all those in favor? Okay, go ahead. You have 1
And
minute.
I just also wanted to close it it's not just in northern communities. I heard water mentioned. There's nothing more than water, more important than water. We are water. Human beings, we are mostly water. We have watched communities in Ontario have generally, evidence-based, one manufacturer completely taint and destroy a water source. An example is Elmira, Ontario. If you're not aware of that, research it. This is serious stuff we're playing with. And I'm going to say that the only stance we have now, I believe, is we need to push this up the hill to the federal government and ask them for their help. Maybe we need a 2-tiered heritage system, national designations, and also a secondary heritage property or land of importance, because the province ain't helping us. So I thank you for your time and letting me get it off my chest, because this is tough.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Appreciate that. May I have a mover and a seconder to receive the comments of the delegate? Councillor Gartner, Councillor Gallo. Any questions or comments for the delegate? Councillor Weese.
Through you, Madam Chair, just to thank you, Dave, for your passion and for everything you do in heritage and the environment as well. So thanks very much for coming tonight.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote on e-scribe, please. Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo is a yes. Councillor Gallo's, Gartner is a yes. That carries. Thank you. All right, may I have a motion to receive the consent agenda items 6.1 to 6.3 inclusive? Councillor Weese, second by Councillor Gartner. Those in favor on e-scribe?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Gallo. Councillor Gartner? All right, perfect. Okay, I'm a little delayed on that. Perfect. Number 7, consideration of items requiring discussion. Member motion, Councillor Weese, opposition to Bill 5, Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act 2005. Councillor Weese, would you like to move the motion? I got a seconder to the motion. Councillor Gartner. Councillor Weese, did you want to speak to your motion?
I want to thank the colleagues on council for agreeing to discuss this in the public forum and for supporting the petition for this special meeting. In particular, I want to thank Councillor Gallo, who's joined us from out of town to be a part of these discussions. So, John, thank you for that. I also thank Climate Action Newmarket and Aurora for their written submission and the delegation that reflects the knowledge and the skill and expertise that you have You've dissected that legislation and it appears in our correspondence so people can refer to it, and thank you for that. These bills are not trivial, and while some may wish to take a wait and see approach and not join the growing number of municipalities and environmental groups that are questioning the content of these bills, I am not one of them. I believe that open and accurate discussion of these bills in public by this council will provide information that reflects our interests and is part of the role of this council. Let me say that there are parts of this legislation as well as the intent that are supportable as we navigate the economic realities that face us and wish to maintain our authority over our community and our country. Likewise, I don't think these motions before are perfect. They may not be exactly reflective, and I welcome both discussion and amendments from my colleagues that express our values here in Aurora. So some context is important here, and Ms. Duncan made mention of it. The June 10th Committee of the Whole delegation was received, and they asked the town to oppose these bills as time was running out on this very short runway of a consultation period. And the suggestion was that the mayor send a letter, as other mayors had done, to the premier identifying concerns, and to my knowledge, that has not been done. On June 16th, at the Environmental Advisory Committee that I chair, a clear suggestion was made to investigate formal opposition to these bills, which has led to this meeting. I thank those people on the Advisory Committee for their interest in this. I attempted to put these motions on the June 24th meeting, but the item was rejected for discussion at that time because it had been submitted late and needed a 2/3 majority for inclusion. I didn't get that support when 3 council members voted against it, and so here we are tonight. I'll provide some additional context about the Bill 5 in my second opportunity to speak, but I'd really like to yield the floor to some of my council colleagues to hear what their comments may be. So through you, Madam Chair, if you can offer the floor up to other council colleagues for the first time, I'd appreciate it.
Certainly. Any other members of council have any comments or questions about the motion on the floor? Councillor Gartner? Go
Through
ahead.
you, Madam Chair. I would appreciate hearing what Councillor Weese would like to say, as he has spent a lot of time on this, and I know he's done an excellent job.
Thank you, Councillor Gartner. Any other comments? Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. I too am disappointed that we had to go through significant hoops in order to get here, even if whether you agree or don't agree with these motions, it's important to have those discussions publicly. And I'm glad to see that our procedural bylaw allows the majority of council to do this as we are doing tonight. I'm in favor of this motion, particularly because it states that in its current form, the town of Aurora officially opposes it, which means that there may be some things that are okay, but there are many that are not, and further discussion needs to be take place. But as they stand, without that discussion, this town is, or this council is opposed to it. At least I'm opposed to it. So I'm in favor of that, and I'm in favor of further discussions and input to the province to get it right on very significant issues. And this is our time to express them and continue to work towards some type of an agreement. And I'm happy to see that this meeting moved forward so that we can discuss those things.
Thank you, Councillor Gallo. I myself also have some comments. I know the chair was passed to me, so I'll express those comments so all my colleagues have a chance to hear what I have to say, and we'll have a good discussion around the table about it. First, I want to thank everybody for being here and being engaged, members of council and Councillor Weese for bringing the motion forward. And I want to thank you for that. But today I want to speak from a place of thoughtfulness and concern and for the constructive purpose of why we're here today. Bill 5, the Project Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act 2025, was introduced with good intentions. The idea of accelerating economic development and reducing red tape resonates with many of us in the public office, especially at the local level where delays and duplication can sometimes slow good projects. The introduction of special economic zones could, under the right circumstances, help unlock investment, jobs, and even local innovation. But good intentions aren't enough. What concerns me is how the bill was passed and what was left behind in the rush. In just 49 days, this bill moved from the first reading to a royal assent with little time for public consultation, limited debate, and no meaningful municipal engagement. Even more troubling are the gaps in the accountability and protection. One, it allows the province to override local planning authority, potentially without local consent. Two, it weakens long-standing environmental laws, including the Endangered Species Act. And three, it offers broad immunity from legal challenge, effectively cutting off residents and communities from seeking recourse if harm occurs. Let me be clear. I don't believe we should outright oppose Bill 5 in its entirety. That would be premature and at least somewhat dismissive of the potential benefits that do come along with this bill. I also believe we do have a duty to raise the red flags where necessary and to suggest a better and more balanced way to go forward. But this is not about politics, it's about partnership with us and the community as a whole. If municipalities are treated as true partners in the implementation of this legislation, particularly in shaping the regulations that will help define how it functions, we can help make Bill 5 work, not just for Queen Park, but for the communities like Aurora. So today, I'm offering a path forward that recognizes the value of economic progress, but insists on transparency, consultation, and accountability. Hopefully, Councillor Weese would be open to an amendment that would respectfully request that the province revisits a regulatory approach and ensures the voices of municipalities, Indigenous communities, and environmental experts are meaningfully included. We can be supportive and critical at the same time. That is what leadership demands and what our residents deserve. With that, I did have some specific wording for consideration and for further discussion. Just give me a minute. That the Town of Aurora Council acknowledges the stated goals of economic growth and development in Bill 5, but expresses serious concerns with the bill in its current form. And all the rest would remain the same. I would also add that the Town of Aurora urges the Government of Ontario to consider the following, which is the collaborating municipalities to determine special economic zones, ensure environmental protections and heritage safeguards are strengthened, and also include municipalities and Indigenous partners in shaping regulations. That is where my sentiments are. Yeah, it's not something that I could move. I'd have to pass the chair. But if you would like, I could do that and put it on the floor. I could wait for additional comments. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. Madam Chair, Madam Clerk. Yep, Councillor Gardner.
Thank you very much. I was looking forward to hearing everything that Councillor Weese said. But I can just give some things off the top of my head. First of all, Bill 5 just guts the endangered species protection and creates economic zones where pretty much anything goes. These zones are, they're above the law, if I could put it that way. You know, it's called eliminating red tape and whatever else one wants to say. But if you really look at it, the intent is very, very clear. It was clear in the speech from the throne. It was clear during the discussion of the bills. The wording in the now laws, they don't leave much doubt that everything is not as important as the economic advancement. And I agree. We need it. We really need it to make our province healthy and to help Canada as a whole. But at what cost are we looking at? There's so much in this bill that it's really hard to pick and choose. But in those economic zones, and they are very, very important lands, mainly First Nations lands, it's what is said is that now law number 5 would allow the government to put regulations in place to create zones where trusted proponents and designated projects are exempt from provincial and municipal rules. That is not a province I want to live in. The Ring of Fire, that is such a significant area to First Nations. They've not even been consulted. Who knows what's coming down the pipe? Maybe they will be, maybe they won't be. In any case, will they be heard? And something that is really concerning is that the government is protected against lawsuits. I really am speechless at that. There's no public accountability there. They have no civil liability. It's just a Wild West. Then we come right to the species. The proposed legislation replaces the province's 18-year-old Endangered Species Act with a narrower Species Conservation Act. The new law gives Cabinet, not a committee of scientists, as was previously the case, the power to decide which animals and plants should be protected, and abolishes obligations for the government to create recovery strategies and report on them, which is always important for transparency. It further says that any other decisions about species at risk can also be delegated to the deputy minister or any other employee in the ministry. It's ludicrous. The concern that comes about the lack of accountability and transparency in the execution of this new act is very concerning, and I believe should be very concerning to anybody who lives in this province or even this country.
Councillor Gardner, you have 5 minutes.
I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if I could relinquish the chair so I could at least put that amendment on the floor for others to see.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. So as the appointed chair wishes to relinquish the chair, I will look to the other members to appoint a temporary chair just for the moment where we relinquish the chair, as we would not have anyone to delegate it to at this point. So I will look to the other members of council to appoint another member as chair. So the other 3 members in this case.
I'd like to, can I appoint? No.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Gardner, turn your mic on. Go ahead. Go ahead, Councillor Gardner. You can.
Your mic wasn't on. Just who do you appoint?
Thank you. I appoint Councillor Weese to take over the chair from you.
Can I have a seconder? Councillor Gallo. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, that carries. Okay, over to you, Councillor Weese, just so that Councillor Gillen can propose the amendment.
Councillor Gillen, could you provide the amendment?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you be able to put it on the screen? Madam Clerk, is there, okay. There are additional items that will be listed. Do I have the floor to speak? We need a second.
Can I get a seconder for the amendment? We have a seconder? Comments?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I also did add another point to it as well that I wanted to add at the end, because I did have some point forms that stayed with the collaboration with the municipality and so forth. Is that up there, Madam Clerk?
Part of the second.
Right, okay, and so the last one was preserving legal recourse for the affected communities. I heard there were some comments about that, which I felt was very important. So essentially, that is the changes I am proposing, because I am looking to have some really distinctive point forms that we shall be ensuring that we're sending the message of what we're really concerned about.
Comments from the from council? Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. I'm not sure, Councillor Weese, how much time you've had to look at this, but I did want to hear from you, as the original motion was yours, and these are some changes. It's a little lighter than yours, but I did want to hear from you if that's possible.
Sure, thank you. Councillor Gartner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that Councillor Gillen has given this a lot of thought. To me, when I see words like that Aurora Town Council urges the government to consider, to me, that's not strong enough. I like what follows, but I'm frankly not sitting at this table to urge the province to do these things, because it is quite clear what their intent is, what they are determined to do. And I do not think that this goes far enough to express the deep concern that I have.
These urges that you're suggesting in this amendment? Can I suggest recommends the government of Ontario? Is that strong enough for your suggestion? Councillor Gilliland, do you have any alternate words to respond to Councillor Gartner vis-a-vis urges?
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Sorry, this passing of the chair has been a little different. So, and the way that we're controlling the mics and so forth. I mean, definitely you could use a recommendation. Obviously, going through the guys that it was recognized that these have been passed already by royal assent. And essentially, my intent here is that we are trying to work as a partner with the province, expressing that we have serious concerns with what is being stated here. Originally, we didn't have anything in specific that we were stating that was of serious concerns. I think this really outlines specifically what it is that I think we all feel are issues, which is the collaboration with the municipalities to determine the special economic zones, the ensuring the environmental protections and heritage safeguards are strengthened, include municipalities, Indigenous partners in shaping regulations, and also preserving the legal recourse for affected communities. So we're sending a strong message to the province that these are the things that we find are serious concerns, and we want them to look at this. We need to be able to go at this with a collaborative partnership with them. And essentially that is what I'm trying to do. Again, this has already been approved by royal assent, but as a town, we need to be looking at this as a in a way that's not adversarial, but as a collective partnership, because that is essentially what we're asking them to do with us. Councillor Gardner, I hope that clears things up, but if you were open to saying recommends, I'm definitely open to making that friendly amendment.
No, I can't support that. I'm sorry.
No other comments? If not, I'll call the vote on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment? Oh, East Grab, sorry.
I'm a yes.
Say no. Councillor Gartner's a no. Okay, that carries. The amendment carries. The original want me to nominate, or it just comes back? Happy to have that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Well
much,
done.
Councillor Weese, for taking on the chair. Back to the main motion. Any other further comments or questions on the main motion as amended? Councillor Weese?
Gallo asked me to make a few comments that I didn't make the first time through, and I appreciate him wanting to hear what I have to say. The fortunate thing is that many of the things that are in my original comments came from the council here, and I'm very happy to see all of that. I will take a few things out that weren't explicitly explained. The environmental defenses overview of the bill said that Bill 5 would be a direct attack on the health of communities, good planning, clean water and air, species at risk, and the rights of Indigenous people. And with respect to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the only reason I'm gone back to that, it was brought up in the mayor's statement about what the AMO is intending to do. They said that they're actively reviewing Bill 5, and I quote, is consulting with members to prepare for the standing committee process. AMO acknowledges the importance of economic prosperity and supports proactive steps to strengthen Ontario's economy, as was mentioned by Councillor Gilliland, and I support that as well. However, they emphasize the need to ensure that vital objectives like health, safety, environmental protection, community well-being, and Indigenous rights and relations are upheld. Our community should be part of that discussion. There are a number of municipal issues and concerns that we should be, of course, concerned about, such as the ministerial planning powers that have been extended, the economic zones, the changes of the Heritage Act. All of these have gone through, except I haven't heard anybody talking about the faster approvals for mining and infrastructure. I know it was discussed with the Ring of Fire, but it goes beyond that because standard environmental assessments and appeals to landfill projects that are all over the project or all over the town, and in particular my hometown of Dresden and Chatham, Kent, they're simply taking the authority for that in an agricultural area that has danger to the watershed. And frankly, these environmental protections are going away, and it's something that we need to be completely opposed to in that regard. So as long as these items are clear in the motion and that they're going to be identified in our objections and that they go to the Ontario, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, I would like to add onto the motion at the end where it says that we're sending it to the Premier and the Minister Lecce, that it also is included and sent to not only just the 44 municipalities, but also the Association of Municipalities of Ontario that our mayor sits on. And I'd like to make sure that it gets into the board. So if we could add that at the bottom as to who gets this, I would appreciate that. I suspect that that's an amendment to my own motion, but I'll leave that to the clerk to tell me how that gets done.
Oh,
I'll
Councillor Weese,
second that.
thank
I'll
you.
second that.
I was just going to suggest that it's a friendly amendment. If the mover and seconder are okay with it.
Yes.
Councillor Gartner? Confirm. Yep, confirm to send to email. Councillor Gartner? Are you okay to confirm to send to AMO as a friendly amendment? Thank you. Is that all, Councillor Weese?
I guess my summary to this would be that while its stated goal is to promote economic growth and housing supply, which is important, and we agree, in its current form, there are risks of doing so at the expense of local autonomy, infrastructure readiness, public accountability, and community sustainability. So that's the last little bit I want. So I'm hoping that the council will support this motion and the amendments. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Councillor Weese. I really appreciate you bringing the motion forward and allowing us to have this discussion around the table. That's something that we had missed last time. So it's great that we have people here in the audience and engaged community. And I think it does speak volumes when we voice our opinion to the province and AMO and other municipalities to show that we're willing to have this conversation around the table and express specifically our concerns that we have with this bill, which is what I think that we've done today. So I really do appreciate that. Councillor Gardner, I believe you already spoke twice. Okay. I guess it's time to call the vote by e-scribe, unless there's no other comments and questions for the second time. Anybody? Nope. Okay. I'll call the vote. Councillor Gallo?
I'm a yes.
Councillor Gallo is a yes. Councillor Gartner?
A very disappointed yes.
Councillor Weese? And that carries. Thank you very much. Seven point two, member motion by Councillor Weese, opposition to Bill 17, Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act 2025. Councillor Weese, would you like to move your motion? Could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Gallo, thank you. Councillor Weese, would you like to speak to it?
The provincial government frames this legislation as a necessary step to accelerate housing construction and modernize infrastructure delivery. Some municipal governments, however, point out that the bill actually undermines local authority, imposes unrealistic mandates, and threatens sustainable community planning. Bill 7 is narrowly focused on construction standards and amends the Provincial Building Code Act to centralize authority for all building performance regulations at the provincial level. It prohibits municipalities from passing local bylaws for building that go beyond the provincial building code. And it undermines, and according to numerous experts, environmental protections such as local stormwater, bird and endangered species friendly building design, the tree canopy, and even flood resilience. Most importantly, social justice and accessibility is threatened by preventing municipalities from requiring enhanced accessible building standards, raising equity concerns voiced by the AODA Alliance. They state that Bill 17 is harmful to Ontarians with disabilities who are already plagued with a shortage of accessible housing by making it more difficult to build for them. There's absence of meaningful municipal consultation in Bill 17, as there was in FIT and 5, and it's been widely criticized. The Association of Municipalities of Ontario, once again, and several individual municipalities have called for the bill to allow for proper engagement and collaborative planning. The concluding statement of AMO states, while we are supportive of efforts to standardize and streamline planning to help drive development, careful consideration needs to be given to the changes made under Bill 17 and proposed for further consultation. Successful implementation of changes and flexibility to allow local decision makers to easily adapt on a case-by-case basis is important to avoid having to backtrack legislative or regulatory changes in the future. And in doing so, it provides clarity and predictability. It also says, AMO, that it looks forward to collaborating with the province to help bring municipal stakeholders and perspectives forward during consultation. That's us. Lack of transparency and limited debate around the bill's implications have fueled distrust and resistance among many municipal leaders. The bill passed with no committee hearings and minimal debate. We need to be a part of that solution. So in summary, while Aurora supports the goal of building more housing and modernizing our infrastructure, the top-down approach affects building rules, including accessibility, as well as the environment. And so an advocacy for balanced approach is needed that respects local governance, ensures the rapid growth does not come at the expense of livable, resilient, and accessible communities that respect the environment. So I urge my council colleagues to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Weese. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gardner.
Thank you. I support this. But according to what the delegates said, I don't think it's a bill now. It would be, we could consider it Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Any other comments? Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. I'm not sure how much more can be sent, and a huge thank you to Councillor Weese for his dedication towards this and the work he's put forward on all our behalfs. And again, I'm extremely happy that we've had this opportunity to have a public debate on this. I'm in full support, and look forward to moving forward with this.
Thank you, Councillor Gallo. I too also have some comments, if I may, just for the first time, for my council colleagues to hear, because again, the whole passing the chair and the chair, it's a little different today. Again, thank you everybody and members of council and residents for your engagement. I really appreciate you being here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak about Bill 17, the Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act 2025. Let me begin by acknowledging that this piece of legislation tackles a very real and urgent challenge: the need to build more homes faster, reduce development backlogs, and address housing affordability. These are goals I believe all levels of government must work together to achieve. Bill 17 brings forward thoughtful proposals like streamlining approvals, deferring development charges, and aligning long-term care and housing infrastructure with growth. These are the kinds of changes we have long advocated for in municipalities: less red tape, more predictability, and a greater cost control. So I want to be clear that I support the core intent of this bill. That said, no legislation is perfect, and Bill 17 is no exception. While the bill is designed to remove duplication and speed up building timelines, it also raises some important questions. How will deferred development charges affect municipal cash flow and servicing planning? How will the new centralized authority over building standards affect local accessibility or sustainable ambitions? And how will our community have a say in matters that directly shape its neighborhoods and quality of life? These are not criticisms. They are areas where clarity and consultation is greatly needed. As the AMO board has rightly pointed out, this is a framework bill, and it's a real world impact that will be determined by regulations that have yet to be developed. That's where municipalities like Aurora must stay engaged, be assertive, and ready to contribute. For that reason, I do feel opposing it in its entirety, again, is too strong. This has received royal assent. Instead, I would like to offer a friendly amendment if any of my colleagues would consider this. Now, therefore, be resolved, Aurora Town Council recognizes the intent of Ontario Bill 17 to streamline housing and infrastructure development, however, expresses significant concerns with the bill in its current form and recommends everything else listed in your motion would remain the same. Those are my comments. I would love to be able to relinquish the chair in order to put that amendment on the floor for discussion. We would need somebody to appoint. Or, sorry, I'm sorry, nominate. We've already done it. We've done that once. Councillor Weese.
Seconded, is that correct? We have a seconder. Do we have comments then on the amendment? You want to put it up?
Can we see it, please?
Thank you. May I also at this time add at the bottom that this motion is forward to all 44 municipalities, Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, Minister Flack, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario.
As a friendly amendment, I would agree to that.
Right.
Councillor Gertner would agree.
Any comments or questions then? Councillor Gartner.
Thank you. I think this is an improvement. Thank you.
Any other? Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. I would agree And considering the stage in which the bill is, the legislation is, this would also make sense to me, provided the 5 points remain. I'm okay with it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Call the vote then. All in favor?
I'm a yes.
Thank you.
Back to the main motion after, yep. That carries. Okay, Councillor Gardner, you had the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Councillor Weese for the work that he's done. I know it's very time consuming and the bills are very complicated, or the laws are very complicated. I'd like to thank Councillor Gallo. I think it must be close to midnight where he is now. Thank him for showing his concern and being with us. And I'd also like to express my disappointment that with the members that are not sitting at this table. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Any other further comments or questions to the main motion as amended? Seeing none. I'll call the vote. Councillor Gallo,
Yes.
Councillor Gardner? Councillor Gardner's a yes. And did Councillor Weese's vote get in? Yep, and that carries. Thank you very much. Confirming bylaw. May I have a motion to approve the confirming bylaw? Councillor Gallo, second by Councillor Weese. Is this by hand? Excellent. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. May I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Weese, Councillor Gardner, all those in favor? That carries. Adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.